This is the lifestyle aesthetics roadmap. Okay. So most people think that weight loss and like achieving your dream body and like becoming that person is like, hey, you just need to do this you just get super shredded, you go through calorie deficit, you just work all the time, and then you get there and you stay there for the rest of your life. But the reality is, like, you're not a bodybuilder. Like, you're not someone that just tries to compete and you stay there for like a short period of time. That is really like more like a sport where most of the time, if you just continue doing that like cycle where you just drop your calories like crazy and then you compete, you do all the spray tan, you get to like sub 7% body fat. Number one, you just destroy your metabolism. So it's not really a sustainable approach. So you can't just apply that same methodology to like real life where there's, people that have to work 8 hours plus per day is not realistic. Like, this is not your full-time job. You're not here to deprive yourself of nutrients, of performance, of like energy levels, only to like compete on a show and like spray. And you can probably have a sense that I'm kind of against bodybuilding. Like, I'll never do that simply because like I understand the risk behind it. Most people don't live a long time when they do bodybuilding events. The reason why is because they put so much PEDs into their system. They look at the data. They go through huge deficits only to not understand like the potential risks with this, right? So am I against bodybuilding? Like, I personally would never want my kids to be like, hey, I want to go and compete. I'd be like, there's different sports, like go do kickboxing. I'd rather you do that instead. But the reality is this: you need to understand the client journey. You need to understand how to actually get you to around like that 10-15% sweet spot where you can maintain this very easily for the rest of your life, guys. Like, it is not hard to get there. Every single person can and will get there. It's a matter of time. Okay. So how do you actually do this? This is the first thing we need to do. Okay. We need to understand what works for you. How do we do this? Well, we need to first assess you. We need to actually get a baseline, right? First off, the baseline for us, you know, DEXA scans, we are using that because it's gold standard. It is by far one of the most important things you can possibly look at. Because if you lose 20-30 pounds, guys, like, most people have like this idea around like weight loss where it's like, hey, if I lose 20 pounds, I hit my goal. Really? Okay. So if you lost 20 pounds, most of the time, if you do it in like the first 3, 4, 5 months, like, you're probably not going to hit your goals unless you're losing fat. There's a difference between weight loss and fat loss. You can lose 20 pounds, but not hit your goals. Why is this? Because the 20 pounds that you lost, it could be water. It could also be muscle. So if you lost 20 pounds, guys, and the 20 pounds that you lost is like 15 pounds of that is muscle, it's gonna literally make you look completely different in a negative way. It's like saggy butt, saggy everything, right? It's no bueno. You don't want this, right? But more importantly, your metabolism starts to slow down. So that's why we need to get a baseline. We need to look at what's actually happening for you in terms of your body composition, body fat percentage, fat, muscle, bone density, which is really important for Asian women in particular, simply because like osteoporosis is really a thing, right? And that's because of like joint stress. But that's a different topic. So for us, what we need to understand is, what are we working with? Like, what's kind of like our starting point? Okay. Then when we have like our baseline, we can then actually implement a protocol that will work best for you. So it's typically, this is like what usually works. We implement a system. We look at your lifestyle. It's like, hey, what's going on? What's like the best kind of like thing that's working for you? What are the foods that you like? And then you start to implement some of it. Okay. If you can stay consistent with this is really important. If you can stay consistent with this for about 2 to 3 weeks, then we want to capture data. Oh, Dex, why don't we want to capture data from the get-go? There's some mixed methodology around this, but for us, because we don't have unlimited DEXA scans, obviously in like the perfect world, we'd be like, hey, just get the DEXA scan from the beginning and just start implementing it. The reason why we want to have flow first and then capture data is because if you're changing a lot of things, right? Imagine this. You had DEXA scan in the first thing. We implement week 1, right? Not able to stay with it. I love noodles so much. Okay, add more noodles here. Okay, perfect. Now is it easier? It's so much easier. Perfect. Now you already made one iteration. You're now capturing data based off of 2 variations. And this is where the nerd comes out. The nerd's like, hey, I don't know what's the thing that's actually driving a lot of the changes here. Okay. So that's why we typically want to like implement a system, works best for you, able to stay consistent for like 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, let's capture data. Let's get a DEXA scan now. Let's implement that with flow for 3 to 4 weeks. And what you have is you have really good data for like 3 to 4 weeks that we can actually analyze and be like, hey, what's actually going on? Okay. So imagine this. Why is this important? Once we actually have a DEXA scan, the DEXA scan gives us a lot of information, because then when we reassess in 3 to 4 weeks, we can then apply this comparatively to normative data. What does this mean? Non-nerd talk. It just means that of the 1,300 clients that we work with, the 700 UFC athletes that I personally have worked with, we can then look at literally data right? Okay, this person, height, weight, ethnicity, age, XYZ. Okay, when they implemented this system, what was the result for the top 1%? Then we compare it to your data. Okay. Oh, this person had the exact same result. Perfect. You just keep doing that. Like you have something proven. Just keep freaking doubling down on that. Okay. Oh, you implement the exact same thing, but you're not getting results. This is important. Probably 10% of the population that we work with experience this. This could be a metabolism issue. It could be a stress issue. There's so many things that is so unknown. So that's where we take the data back to be like, okay, you implement this process. Number one, is there variability with the implementation of the system? That means, okay, if there's no variability and you're falling to the T, you're crushing it. Okay, perfect. That means we know it's probably like a stress. It might even be a metabolism issue. So instead of just like getting you through, let's just give an example. Imagine you're eating at a deficit, and then we compare it to data, and it's so much slower. That might honestly be a metabolism issue. So if we continue getting you through a deficit, what's going to happen is you're going to lose weight, but then you're going to start to lose muscle mass. That's not what we want. That's when we start to move you to step number 2, where we get you really building up your metabolism, where we can spark this up. So we're going back and forth here, but it's going to make a bit of sense. The whole idea around this is to find what works best for you. How can we find the efficiencies? How can we find the things that's going to work best for your body to get you in a calorie deficit as easy as possible? To know with 100% certainty that when you do this, this is how much fat you lose. Because this is going to give you that, like, it's going to remove all the doubt. It's going to give us a lot of certainty to be like, hey, next time you go through a deficit, this is what you're going to do. And this is how you start to get a blueprint. So once we actually find the things that's working for you, eventually you're going to hit that point where your body is going to be like, hey, I can't handle this anymore. I'm going to go through survival mode. Your metabolism slows down because, as you know, every single time you go through a deficit, your metabolism slows down naturally. Okay. So when this point happens, instead of just going through like a 4 or 5 month like huge deficit that people kind of go and do, where your metabolism literally just like shoots down, we need to take a break. Why? Because as you go through a deficit, the long-term deficit, or even a very steep deficit, your metabolism will adjust accordingly. Okay. So that means the next thing we need to do is rebuild and ignite metabolism. How do we do this? Well, we look at your body, right? We look at like literally the data that you're putting into the app, how you're training, what are the weak muscles. Then we specifically build a routine based off of your muscle, right? What are the things you want to focus on? Plus the aesthetic component. This is going to allow us to increase your calories. And if you increase your calories, what's going to happen is you obviously eat a little bit more, but then now you get a lot more fuel. If you have a lot more fuel, this is where you can actually start to build muscle mass. So this is the part where it's kind of cool. Some of our clients are like, Dex, like, how the hell am I eating so much food and I'm losing fat? Well, you're not actually losing fat in this scenario. What's actually happening is your body fat percentage is decreasing because your muscle mass is increasing, but your fat is staying the same. I'm going to repeat this. What's happening here is you're eating more food, right? You're taking in more calories. Your protein is very, very high, but you're training a specific way. Because of the way you're training, hypertrophy, very intentional for you, your muscle mass will start to increase. If your muscle mass increases and your fat stays the same, your body fat percentage will decrease. So then our clients are literally like, how the hell am I actually eating so much food here and I'm losing fat? Well, you're not, okay? Honestly, this is happening. This is called body recomposition. Now what's going to happen is you go through this process. In an ideal world, your weight stays the same or increases just a little bit. Okay. This is what we want. You want to have this. But what's going to happen is aesthetically, right? Which is why it's so important to detach yourself from the weight. Aesthetically, your body fat percentage will start to change. Okay. This is very, very important. So once you go through this again, you might need to go through another cycle of this. Okay. So that we can get you through a calorie deficit to hit your ideal body composition. Which is why when we do the manifestation letter, we need to have a clear vision as like what you actually want to look like. Right. So depending on what that looks like, this is kind of like the shredding phase. This is like the rebuild phase where we keep your metabolism very high, keep you very healthy, so that eventually when you hit your ideal body fat percentage, we can teach you how to maintain. Guys, this here is cruisy. Like this here and this here, it's hard. It really is. But like here, the lifestyle aesthetics, guys, this is kind of like where I live. I live between 10 to 13% body fat year round. I eat out 5 days a week. I have Asian foods every single day. My wife loves Asian food. I train a specific way where my energy output is very, very high. And it's so freaking easy to maintain here. It truly is. Because think of it like this. If Now we actually use this time to, this is a little bit more advanced, but just know that step number 3, it's all about actually teaching to maintain. And maintaining, guys, you have so much freedom. I'm telling you, it's probably 10 times easier to maintain than like going through this. And the reason why is because you know what works for you. You know, like the data, you know what like type of carbs actually works best for you with the energy that you have. You know that you right now you're building your metabolism will increase. If your metabolism increases, and now you're eating like 500 to 700 extra calories per day, it's so much easier to maintain that over a longer time horizon, right? So I'm gonna make another video as like why we can maintain this. But this is kind of like a really quick overview as to like what the client journey looks like. It's very systematic, as you can see. We're gonna integrate the foods that you absolutely love. Truly is the last time you ever need to go through this, guys. If you follow the system to the T, you will hit 10, 15% of your dream body and teach yourself how to maintain this, because this is the actual system. And then you have the behavior change where it's just like you do the hard things, you commit to the process, you stay consistent, even when your motivation's low. That is the sauce, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. Talk to you soon. Peace.